Have you ever worried about ending up with someone who's terrible for you or a loved one? In this video, I'll be sharing 7 signs to look out for so that you can stay away from toxic relationships like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's. My name's Jeff, and my goal is to make psychology make sense. Stick around. It's no secret that the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial has been taking the world by storm. Millions of people have been tuning in eagerly, waiting for new videos as we watch the chaos unfold. From the Dr. Evil memes to watching the acting skills of Amber's, the internet has been showing no mercy. But while most of these videos are for laughs or for updates on the case, I haven't seen many on what we can learn about relationships here. It's important to take some high-level basic insights and apply that to daily life. This won't be a deep analysis of the relationship between Heard and Depp, but I will take some small examples from the trial and turn them into lessons. It could not only prevent a slew of headaches and heartbreak in the future, but it could potentially save a life. So what is a toxic relationship? It's important to understand that toxicity exists on a spectrum. Just because someone has a trait or traits that you feel are negative, it doesn't mean that person or the relationship is entirely toxic. Some things can be worked through, some things cannot. Sometimes it's hard to identify toxic traits early in a relationship and things get complicated. You might even be lucky enough to have found someone who wasn't toxic, but for whatever reason you guys didn't end up working out. And that's okay too, because sometimes we do lose the one, but we just lost the one for that chapter of our life. And they taught us everything we needed to know so that we can move forward in our story. If the relationship is harmful to you or a loved one's mental health, physical health, psychological or emotional health in the long run, then you may want to reconsider things. The first thing you want to look out for in a relationship is early signs of narcissism. Narcissism is a deep level of selfishness where someone thinks very highly of themselves, always needing validation and admiration. They believe that others are inferior to them and seem to lack any strong levels of empathy. Jurors shared that they had heard audio recordings of Amber instigating arguments with Johnny, even after he would try and leave to prevent things from escalating. Amber displayed narcissistic characteristics to add fuel to the flames in their arguments. Things didn't ever seem to be her fault. Do you find similar traits like this in your partner? Watch out for people who manipulate you or others for their gain. Avoid those who always have to be right and play the victim in every situation. These people play tricks and treat the relationship like a game. Pay very close attention to how they handle conflict and how they treat people like waiters and waitresses. It can reveal a lot about a person very early on. The second thing to watch out for in a relationship is to understand their definition of love. Does your partner think that love equals passionate fighting and chaos? Do they feel that in order to love someone, they have to make you crazy? Although conflict and hard times are necessary for a relationship to really evolve and grow, it doesn't mean that a majority of things should be in chaos and ruin. The more you believe that love equals violent aggression, the more you'll fall victim to an aggressive relationship. This could potentially happen if someone has unresolved childhood traumas or if they never had any strong relational role models growing up. They may find healthy relationships boring and uninspiring. They're used to the fights and aggression because that's all they know. These norms set unconscious expectations in your mind, and you'll continue to follow those. It'll make you seem unreasonable and make you lash out. Amber seems to partially define love as the need to fight and attack one another. She demonstrated this multiple times in her relationship as more evidence came forward. She wanted to be seen as being a victim to Johnny's violent outbreaks. In reality, she was trying to manipulate everyone into believing that she caught him abusing her. She treated love this way time and time again. By not believing them when you see or hear this early on, you're setting yourself up for failure. The third thing to watch out for in a relationship early on is if they use absolutes often in conversation with you or other people. Examples of this would be phrases like, "you always blank," or "you never blank." By using words like always or never often in conversation, you overvalue the negative and overlook other possibilities. By saying things like, "you never want to spend time with me," or "you always try to make me feel bad," you're going to be wrong most of the time and you'll devalue your partner. This will only worsen conversations and arguments. It'll create disdain and hate towards you. Amber can be heard on multiple recordings using absolute language, belittling Johnny and framing things to make herself look like the good guy. She said things like, "I'm the bigger person every time, and every time I have to fight for our relationship." This absolute language ignores specific behaviors and other factors contributing to an issue, and it pins everything onto one person. Watch out for this. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever been in a toxic relationship and what you did to get out of that. The fourth thing to look out for early on in a relationship is to see if they keep track of everything that happens and later use that against you in the arguments that you have. Throughout the trial, there were various occasions where we saw video recordings or heard audio recordings where Amber was trying to catch Johnny being the bad guy. She regularly wanted to keep score. She seemed to want to have a stockpiled record of all the times Johnny messed up to make herself look good. By playing referee, you're welcoming a very frustrating future for both of you. The fifth thing you should pay attention to in a relationship early on is who they are today, not who they say they'll be tomorrow. It's super easy to get caught up in the butterfly phase of a relationship and look past all the flaws of a person. We fall victim to what psychology calls the halo effect. This is where when we love one thing about a person, we start to think that everything else about that person must be great as well. We fall in love with a future version of them and imagine an amazing life with them early on because we ignore their flaws. We justify with ourselves thinking that their flaws aren't so bad now and everything will work itself out later because they'll change. I've got earth-shattering news for you. It's really hard for people to change. Never try to change someone into what you think they could be or what you hope they could be. You should fall in love with someone based on who they are today because it's almost certainly what you're going to get tomorrow. As shown in previous examples, Amber seemed to make it a habit to display toxic traits early on. She pinned everything on Johnny. Perhaps Johnny saw something in her that continued to be ignored as things got deeper and deeper. The sixth thing to look out for in a relationship is if you have to change who you are in order to earn their love. You should accept and love someone fully as they are, flaws and all. The more you try and change them, or the more you feel like you have to morph into something else for your partner to love you, the more you're digging your own grave. Before the recent events unfolding in front of the world, many people believed that Johnny was the abuser. It was easier to believe since such a large percentage of physical domestic abuse cases are committed by men. People forgot that women do this too, and men can be victims here. The seventh thing to watch out for in a relationship is if you have to regularly justify things. When you feel like you're regularly defending your relationship to others and explaining to your loved ones why it's actually good when they're all doubting it, there's probably something to look into. Johnny shared his childhood story with the world and shocked many of us. He found himself attached to a woman who resembled his mother in many ways. He was trying to be like his father and justified staying with someone who was completely toxic for him. Enough was enough, and things finally broke. I know it can be hard to spot some of these things early on in a relationship. We meet someone we're attracted to and all logic goes out the window. The rose-colored glasses come on and we dive deep down the rabbit hole of lust. When it's happened to you or your loved ones before, you could be better equipped to spot these things. Avoid the narcissists. Understand how they define love. Listen to how they communicate and argue with you. Learn their love languages and deep core values and beliefs. By taking things at your own pace and understanding the things I shared in this video, you'll be well equipped to avoid painful situations in the future. It's okay if things don't work out sometimes. Sometimes you're just genuinely not compatible with someone. Through the struggles, we learn. Through pain, we understand and grow. Everything that drowns us over time is actually teaching us how to swim. One thing that Amber Heard could probably use some help with is her public speaking skills. If you're interested in learning how to communicate more effectively, be sure to check out my last video on how to give a great speech like a TED Talk. So for all things psychology to help you think, feel, and perform better, stay tuned right here on Psychology of Living.